read your essay, so I'll just take a look at them. Then starting to mark the essay. Where is and mid-term, and another one, double spending attack. Yeah. So I will talk about this one first, okay, and then talk about the homework number 1, and then the midterm, the previous midterm. All right. So so today I will do 3 things: double spending attack probability analysis. I was able to complete the lecture note on Monday afternoon. So the goal of this lecture note is to drive the double spending attack success probability exactly, right? Because Satoshi Nakamoto's result was an approximation. So basically, you can use this exact approach and then compare with the Satoshi's approximate result. Okay. So the evaluate how accurate Satoshi's approximate result was. You can do that using this exact approach. The race part stays the same. So race part, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just a gambler's ruin, theorem. So it's well-known theory. So it's you cannot change anything there, but you don't have to change anything there. And then part on focus here is then the first phase. The question is how many blocks the attacker has grown, right? While the honest network can grow Z blocks, right? Z is the number of confirmation. The payee needs to wait until these many blocks, right, in order to finalize that he has actually received the fund, right, from the payer, right? So NBC denotes the number of blocks payee waits to confirm his reception of payment from the payer. Then maybe the grammatical error. So that is finalized. Once it is, then it is finalized. Okay, and then drive a new result using the materials from the lecture note. Basically, we talked about that, right? The amount of time the attacker has is a random time, isn't it? Because the honest network can grow Z blocks in certain time, but this time is random, isn't it? And then what was the distribution of this random time? Anyone? What was the distribution? Basically, we describe that as a long distribution. So that is a random time. And during this random time, how many blocks the attacker can grow, right? That is also random. So random time, during the random time, how many random blocks can the attacker grow? So that's the problem. Okay. So these 2 random things, that's basically we have to take the average over the along distribution. Okay. So random time is distributed as along. The random number of blocks is distributed as a Poisson, right? So the result obtained here is the probability of double spending attack success in a hash proof of work network. And Satoshi's result was a Poisson, right? using the average time, our new result is given in theorem. So basically that's the goal of this lecture note. So research point. So once you have obtained a better result, what would be the probability if we use the different hash consensus algorithm? For example, error correction code proof of work. Right? I haven't taught you about this, but we will talk about this in the second half of the class, right? Second half of the semester. Okay, and what should be the basic unit of computation for ECC POW? It could be still the hash cycles per second, or it could be a decoding size cycle for a second per second. So you can evaluate this later on, right? But the previous the part that I have described stand valid. Okay, so basically we talked about distribution of time for k block mind, in this case, as for the sum of these 4 random times. Basically we said that this is Erlang distributed, and that's the distribution function. And then how many blocks given time t. This is a Poisson distribution. So we need to combine these 2 random variables, right? So double spending attack, I didn't change anything here. The definition of a double spending attack success. And now we aim to talk about the Satoshi's double spending attack probability. But Satoshi's was an approximation that is given by this expression, right? And which came out to be this one. Now this is the focus point that we want to see, right? So basically, it is a good exercise to see if the following 2 results, which is the Poisson random number of blocks, this part, given time tau. Tau is the dummy variable for this Erlang distribution, and then this is the probability density function for tau time t. So we need to average this Poisson random number of blocks with this Poisson Erlang distribution, and then it is the matter of figuring out if this exact approach is the same as Satoshi's result. But the result came out to be different. Okay, so basically it is of interest to consider z greater than or equal to k, right? Non-trivial case, right? And then basically evaluating that integration came out to be, if you follow all these procedures, basically it came out to be this. Okay, so we give input as a lambda a, lambda h, and then we can translate into q and p, right? Given a block mind, which network this block belongs to. With the probability of p, it belongs to honest network. With the probability of q, it belongs to attacker's network. Okay, so basically, if you apply that, then given block conformation number z, then basically you can obtain this formula right here, which is binomial distribution. And then this is a binomial distribution from here to here. And then I have a p at the end. So basically, what does this mean? Why do we need to have a p at the end multiplied? So basically, this one specifies this case. So random time is obtained by this event. Let's say S1, S2, S3. and some random time tau. This is tau, right? Tau, random time tau. And then this should be what? The last one should be S of Z block, right? So this is for the honest network. So this you have to use lambda H for this, right? So average block generation rate is lambda H, right? So given this time, random time, how many blocks can you have mined in terms of attacker, right? So in this case, during this time, let's say if I use a picture to describe, let's say we are talking about K blocks mined by the attacker, right? Within this time. That's what we are calculating, okay? So this one right here is the Poisson distribution, which is that part. During this time, random time, how many random number of blocks can the miner can generate, okay? So there is a consequence. So basically these, let's say this here is the K, which is in the special case of 3 in this picture. There are 3 blocks mined by the attacker. So this is a honest network. And then the attacker's rate is what? Lambda attacker, right? And then in this particular instance, attacker has grown 3 blocks. Right? So what is such probability that we are aiming to calculate? So in this particular case, what should be? So if I combine the two things, let's say right here, if I combine those two things, right? It looks like this, and this one is red, 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 and this one here is blue, right? So what does this says? In the beginning, attacker was first to mine the block, and the second block was belonging to the honest network. So in this, right at this moment, they are even. They are even, right? The number of blocks is 1 block for the honest network, 1 block for the attacker, right at this moment. And then right at the next time instance, where there is a block mined of the combined network, and then this combined network basically, what is the rate? Transmission rate, block generation rate, sorry. That is this, right? The two Poisson processes are combined together. And then this is the aggregate block generation rate for the whole network. Right? Then if you continue to this, we are even again, right? And then this one, now we are 1 block behind. The attacker is 1 block behind, and so on. Oh, no. Attacker has 1 block ahead. And then rest of them, attacker was behind, right? Because honest network is keep getting successes. And then here is what is the constraint? What is the constraint here in this particular case? What is the constraint on the last success? Who should be the last succeeding party? Attacker or honest network? Anyone? The last one, because it is dictated by this random time, it should be this last success should belong to honest network, isn't it? honest network. What about the rest of these other successes? What about the rest of these other successes? So, for example, another thing is that how many total number of successes are we talking about here in this particular case? Here, Z successes, Z, right? Because here is Z, right? How about here? We are talking about K successes right here, right? By the attacker. So total, we are talking about Z plus K successes, right? And then among these many successes, the last block should be mined by the honest network, right? This last block is determined. That should be honest networks block, right? What about the rest of the block? The rest of the block is Z plus K minus 1 blocks, right? They could be, these orders are intermixed, right? There is no other constraint, right? That's why we have a binomial distribution right here. Binomial distribution. Z minus 1 plus K blocks, they are orderless. You could have any combinations, right? So among these many blocks, K blocks are mined by the attacker. And then what is such a probability? With the probability P, Z minus 1 blocks are mined by the honest network. With 1 minus P, which is Q to the power of K, which is the probability that attacker has mined, right? And then the last P stands for what? The last block should be mined by the honest network. So that is this probability. So after we have gone through this, derivation, we came out with this formula, and then when we take a look at this formula, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. So that is basically the binomial distribution times P. So this is the exact probability. Okay. All right. Then basically note that this result is not the same as right hand side of 1.5, which is 1.5, this one, so Satoshi's result. Okay, and then verification of equality of 1.5 came out false, so it is not the same. Okay, thus Satoshi's result is not valid here. It's not valid. I don't have to say here, right? The result given here is 1.6. This one is correct one. Okay. Interpretation of 1.6 is this. There are a total of Z plus K blocks generated within the Z block generation time of the honest chain. Among them, the last block should belong to the honest network. Rest of the Z minus 1 plus K blocks are Z minus 1 blocks which were generated by the honest chain, and then rest of the K blocks should be mined by the attacker. So do you have any question on this one? I know this is some of the most difficult part in this course, but do you have any question? See, this picture, I like it. I would like to put it in my lecture note so that I can use later on. All right. Is this explanation make sense? Any question? No question? All right. So clear, right? So the raised part of the Satoshi's result stays the same, okay? All right, then we can have a theorem, basically double spending success probability. Let lambda h be block generation rate of the honest network. The attacker aims to attack this network with a double spending attack. The block generation rate of the attacker's network is lambda a. Now you have done homework number 3. You know how to obtain lambda a. You know, in order to obtain a particular lambda a, you know how much money you have to invest, right? The number of blocks for confirmation is Z blocks. Then the success probability is just what we have driven above, okay? So this probability can be calculated once you have lambda h, lambda a. Once you are given with this, then you know how to calculate that. Basically, that is it. All right, and then here is the homework for this part of the lecture note. I haven't given you. Maybe after you have came back with the midterm, maybe we can talk about this. The problem, obviously, how much difference are we talking about? Satoshi's result and our new result. And then basically, maybe it's a small difference. I don't know. But the trend will be the same trend, maybe. But I haven't done so. Maybe after we have done this homework, we will be able to evaluate how big the difference is. Okay. So for this part of the lecture, do you have any question? All right. Moving on. So second one that I have done finally is starting to mark the essay that you have submitted. And I like some of the essays that you have submitted. And then I would like to point out some of the things that all of you have made. Like one thing is that many of you didn't have any topic for your essay. The essay should have a title, right? Once you have written your document, essay, you need to have a title, right? That's an essay, right? So here is first student that which I like is the complexity of modern economic systems and blockchain. So you might be able to understand. I mean, you might begin to question yourself. Well, by looking at the title, I think of what type of story he's trying to say, right, in his essay, right? So here it says that modern economic systems are very complex, it looks like. And then what type of a solution are we looking for? Maybe, blockchain maybe could be a solution for, today's economy, which is very, very complex, right? So when you take a look at that, I found some typos, but that looks okay. Structural limitation of fiat money, okay, but it's fiat money, and I'll draw a process toward a fair and transparent and sustainable economy, okay, and then he talks about too big to fail problem, and he talks about the bank collapses, all right, and it is because bank systems are unstable. There are many insolvent banks. He says that it will be impossible to be relieved. Okay, and what do you mean by fail in and fail out? Did you actually mean this? Something different from bail in and bail out? Is a fail in and fail out different from something different that you would like to mean? Heung-No?
Actually, I used translator, so I need to watch Korean version.
I see. So you didn't check, huh?
Yeah.
I see. So this is just a pure typos. Okay. So you have to watch before you submit, right? And so So did you use GPT?
Some of questions.
Okay. So one thing I have noticed is that some of you have the same answers, certain part. For one example was key currency that we didn't use, but all of you says key currency versus reserve currency. So in certain part of the question, right? So you have to, watch out for your answer, right? You have to read it through, right? And then make your story coherent, right? And then, but overall it looks good. Okay, and then three fins dilemma, right? So here is the part key currency appears. So this probably you guys have asked the ChatGPT, what is the three fins dilemma, things like that. So this part looks almost the same. Many of you have the same answers, right? And so three fins dilemma is actually a dilemma, right? As we can see from what America is doing right now. It's very difficult, right? They try to control the supply of the US dollars, right? If they send out lots of US dollars to the outside, right? They need to import many goods and services from other countries, like China, right? So that they can control, while doing this, they can control the inflation problem, right? But right now, China and America, they are not cooperating with each other. So they are not trying to import the goods and services from the China. So their domestic price soars, right? Goes to the roof, right? So they have an inflation problem, right? If they allow, import from China, right? Then what is the problem? They import goods and services, and then they send the US dollars outside. Then things goes well. But what is the problem? They always run the deficit, right? So that's the dilemma. So it is a difficult problem. So, we are not saying that America, is doing bad, on purpose and so on and so on. But we are not saying that, right? But we've been okay for the last 70 years, right? We've been okay. Maybe for the last 50 years as well, after the Nixon shock, right? But things get more complex and more complex and more complex as the year goes on, right? Because the world economy has grown very large, and then we are connected with each other, right? From big nations and small nations all around the world, we are very, very connected together, right? Like when you go into the Facebook, you meet friends from France, meet friends from Africa, and so on, right? Right now in this room, you are from Africa, Paris, Pakistan, and so on, right? So we are, connected ever before. So things are getting very, very complex. And what is another thing? How fast news travels these days. One thing happened in one part of the globe. Next day, maybe in the next hour, we know what's going on, right? With videos as well, right? Because of YouTube, right? So it is very difficult to control the supply of money, right? To have a stable system. So since news travels very fast, right? If I notice a problem, I tweet it and let everybody know, and then in a multiple hop, almost everyone knows around the globe. Then what is going to be the reaction? Everyone withdraw, right? Or everyone invest in a certain asset. So this type of synchronization makes problem very difficult. Okay. So I think that is the reason. So engineering is used to find a problem and then suggest a solution to the problem, so that humanity can advance to the next level, better level, right? We are not trying to blame anybody here, right? So we are trying to come up with a better idea to solve the problems, so that we all can live peacefully together in a next level of platform, right? So that's what it is, okay? So Bitcoin is not an attempt to demise, a stateship or something, right? It's trying to just give a better solution for the problem, okay? That's what it is, okay? All right, and then demand side economics and supply side and so on. And then he talks about Silvio Gesell. So can you talk about Silvio Gesell a little bit? Who is he and why is he important?
He is economist before our modern economics, and he said that many of economic problem is from like asset bubble, that is from money's value does change. And he said the money should be valued down after some maybe 1 year.
Yeah.
One year per 1%.
So maybe I can ask you some questions, right? Does he like the idea of printing a lot of money?
He said printing money like quantitative like that is poison to economics, because that printed money going to not going to people's pocket, but going to some of like real asset or stock market. So it makes bubble a lot. That's the problem.
Yeah. So if you have a bubble created, who is the one benefits the most? Working people or the people who spend all their time chasing which asset to invest? Two kinds of people. A or B? Working people, like we are starting here and then creating new technologies and so on. Working people. Second, the kind of people who just chase the which assets to invest, right? Two kinds of people. Which one will be benefiting in this case when there is a bubble market? A or B? These people, right? B type of people, right? If there is no bubble, who will benefit the most then? B or A? There is no bubble to chase. If there is no bubble, well, where is wealth created? Where is the place wealth is created? Huh? Louder, please.
The working people.
Huh?
The people working.
Louder, little louder, please.
The people doing the work, like the workers.
Workers. Yeah. So the people who spend their time creating new knowledge, solving problems, and then do the programming and then fix the problems, making engineering products like cameras and so on. So the people's lifestyle can be improved, right? Those are the real work, right? And then those people who are doing that, if there is no bubble market, will benefit most, right? So that's what it is. And then he's against the printing money. So if you print money, there will be a bubble, right? And then in the bubble market, then there are special kinds of people who will get the most, right, benefit. But not the average people who work very hard every day, right? And then he's basically, have the money have some time limit. As time goes on, value of the money is going to get diminished. Why he is doing that? Because if money is too stable, if the money has a value retained over many, many years, right? What would be the problem then? US dollar 100 years ago, US dollars today, if they were same purchasing power have been stayed the same, what would be the consequence? What would be the bad effect? Obviously, there is a good effect, right? People will save because this is the value is retained for many years, right? People will save, but would people choose to spend the money that they have saved? No. Then if people is not spending their money in their savings, what would happen? Money in circulation will be small or large? Will get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So that he's against that. So we have to make the money has some time limit, right? So we're getting diminished over time. That way, that people who has saved money will make an investment and then purchase things. So money will be circulating. So many other people will be able to get the money in their hand and then feed their children and so on, right? So this is not a simple problem, okay? Anyway, so since these documents are in the Google Drive, I uploaded it this morning, and then I want you guys to read about it. And I haven't marked all of the papers as of yet. I will continue to do that and then complete the marking and then give you some grading. But and then I'll give you the one student, probably this one maybe, as the number one essay. It has a title in it, and then it has references in it, and then it has addresses all the questions that I have asked. But overall, I was satisfied with your effort. Everyone was trying to give their time to write this essay. And then I know that as an engineering student, this might be your first, engineering class that, professor asks you to write an essay about some topic, right? We always solve some engineering problem, right? Mathematical skills we are improving every day. But these things are very important, as you can see, right? You have to be aware of the problem, and then we apply our knowledge to solve these problems, okay? So I think we are starting to do that in the blockchain. All right, so I want you to, so this is the merged homework set. I will continue to read about it, and I'm very thankful for all of you who have spent enough time to think about this problem. And then one of the many things that I noticed was one of the important issues was that almost everyone of you says that inside your essay, I never thought about this problem before as an engineering student, right? But I realized that this is a very important problem. All of us need to know, right? So that is the very motivating comments from each one of you. Okay, so I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Having said about this essay, homework number 1, and then homework number 2, you guys have submitted. But those are all installation questions. I hope every one of you have completed it. If you haven't completed the homework number 2, I suggest you to do that, right? And then homework number 3, you have submitted, and I have taken a look at them. I mean, many of you have did a very good job, so I'm also satisfied with that. But we will try to mark the answers. Please, can you do that for me? Yeah, and then we will upload it into the Google Drive so that you guys can check your answers. Okay. All right. And what else? Now, so I talked about 2 things, right? Double spending of tech, homework. Now I need to talk about midterm. Okay, so here is the midterm. So when is the midterm date? One more time?
Monday.
Huh? Monday. No problem, Monday, right? Okay, so we'll do it on Monday. And then since we only have a 1.5 hour at the maximum, maybe 1 and 20 hours. 1 hour and 20 minutes, right? Because we have to complete the exam within the class time. So here is my previous midterm exam. As you can see, this is 2021, which was the pandemic era, right? We are not able to meet inside the class. So we have to have an open everything exam because we have to allow the exam to be taken at home, right? We are not allowed to meet. So some of the students was in Pakistan, in Africa, and in Europe. And they was just attending my class in Zoom, right? So this is just example, you can take it, right? But this year, because it's in-class midterm, it will be a little bit different, but it's the same nature, okay? So you have to write your solution into the booklet. We'll give you a booklet, printed booklet, okay? And turn in complete. You can ignore this part, right? You just need to turn in the booklet that we printed. We print and give it to you, okay? And then, so you can ignore this part, sending an email and so on. And I would allow you to use calculator. Calculation, how fast you can calculate is not an issue here, right? Yeah, you can even bring your handphone. You can use your handphone as well. Okay? And the problem is I ask you guys to write a little small essay, like this is only this much, right? This is the time you're not going to be able to use too much ChatGPT. So you have to write your own words, right? Maybe using the handphone you can still ask, but since there is a time limitation, you should know what you want to say inside your head. And here, and then probably in this type of problem, refer to the Bitcoin protocol and then online site. But since this is in-class midterm exam, I will give you this on-site evidence of some hash power and so on, block number, and then inside there are some information, and then I ask you the question about that, right? Just like you are able to access the Bitcoin network, right? While you are doing your homework, right? So, for example, what is the hash rate, and then what is the expected number of trials that you have to run your hash, and so on. And then this one, you have done the homework for this part already, so you know what's going on. So how to make a transaction basically, okay, between two persons, Bob and Alice. But you have done the homework already. So basically, I'll give you like this one, three problem sets. Then you need to solve this within the booklet and submit. Okay. Everything clear?
Is it open book?
Yeah, it's an open book. Yeah, yeah. Open book. Open book. Very good. Open book. You can use calculator. You can use your handphone, right? That's it. Yeah. And then you have a time limitation, 1 hour 20 minutes. So you need to know what you are doing, right? You don't have time to search. Yeah. So, do you have any question? All right, then I'll stop right here. And that's it for today. Okay.
Apart from the
More.